Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Career Chat. I'm Krista Harmon, and I would like to have you join me in welcoming Nicole Zeeff-Nowak. She is a owner of a construction company. We're so thrilled to have you today, Nicole. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me, everybody.
So, Nicole, when you were 16 or 17, did you think you'd grow up to be in the construction industry and to be owning a company? Tell us about that early thinking.
Oh gosh, I did not think I would own a commercial construction company. I did always know that I was going to be a business owner, however, or maybe not a business owner, but running a large company. My career aspirations were to be a hospital administrator. So that was those dreams were dashed, however, when I found out from my parents that I would be paying for my education by myself. So
How did you know that you'd be running a business? What were you demonstrating as a young child that you even knew business was the right area for you?
I was always the boss. So,
I love that.
yeah, I always had an affinity for numbers, and I marched to the beat of a different drum, I guess. I was not a follower.
Yeah. And it's interesting for young people that are watching this, start paying attention. I mean, if not already, pay attention to those natural qualities you have. And if you are always find that you're the boss in your group, I love that, Nicole, that you were demonstrating that as a young child. So you knew it would be somewhere in business. So tell us about your high school experiences then. Where did hospital administrator come from?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. So
yeah, you knew they were in charge. So that's probably what you liked about it.
Possibly, yeah. I think the aspect of caring for people and, making sure that, people were well. I think that's probably where that came from. My older sister, she's a nurse practitioner. And to some degree, we're all interested in healthcare. So, and caring for people, but.
So you got the news from your parents that you'd now be responsible for paying your own education. So how did that shift your thinking, and what did that change for you? How did you have to adjust?
Well, I've always worked. So my thinking went from, oh shoot, I can't go to Stanford, for this hospital administration degree. So I guess I'll just be an accountant because they always have work. So, and my grandfather owned a commercial excavating company. My grandmother was his accountant. So, I always helped her with the books and clean grandpa's shop. So I just was exposed to it that way. And I also worked for Kent County Parks. And in the winter, I was able to work in the accounting department there. So I kind of helped with some bookkeeping and light accounting work. So I transitioned after high school into working for the Parks Department in the summer, and then in the winter I worked for the accounting department doing, like I said, the light book work. So was able to work full time through college, and transition that way. So
was your understanding at the time that Stanford was the only one with that specialized degree, or was that not available in your state? Or were you in California at the time?
No, I grew up in Granville. So I went to Granville High School, graduated from Granville High School. Penn State and Stanford were the only colleges, to my understanding, that had that. So.
Yep. So therefore it was like, oh, I got to switch gears. And accounting, did that fit you for the most part? Was that a real challenge to get through college, or was there enough to keep you interested that you got through that pretty fine?
No, I hated it. I'm honest and I'm blunt. So
yeah.
No, I hated it.
Yeah, kids need to hear that, because that's part of the journey, Nicole.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about that. How did you even push through, and how did you even decide on accounting then? I mean, were there other business degrees you could have got, or because again, young people are wrestling with these decisions, so they love to hear your thought process.
So really, I just kept telling myself, I'll always have a job. I'll always have a job. I'll always have a job. I also picked up, so the journey was this. I worked full time getting through school. I went to CC, back in the day, it was called JC. And I was on a 3-year plan to get through the 2-year college because, again, I was working full time. So, I just kept plugging away. I got my associate's degree in accounting from CC, and then I transferred to Grand Valley. Halfway through my senior year, I picked up another major in economics because I loved economics. I understood economics. Economics was the story of how the world works. So that applied to accounting and allowed me as an accountant to forecast what was going on. That is the single best decision I've ever made with my education, because it allowed me to get into management. It allowed me to be a CFO, a VP of finance, and also work in upper level accounting very quickly. So halfway through my senior year, I got my first real job as a plant accountant at Universal Forest Products, and I stopped going to school. So working for $8.50 an hour, but hey, I had benefits. So, and I worked like a dog. And my next job was at International Paper as an accounting manager. So I was 24 years old and I was an accounting manager. I was making $10.50 an hour. I was traveling all over the state, but doggone it, I had that title and I had better benefits. So, so I just kept going up in title and up in responsibility. And I accumulated a lot of experience, and I worked in manufacturing, I worked in healthcare, I worked in the automotive industry. So I learned a lot of different areas of accounting, project management, cost accounting, collections, you name it, I did it. And then I was able to owe taxes, and I was able to stay home when I chose to have children. And I did bookkeeping at home, I did property management at home, and I did taxes at home. And when it came time for me to return back to, when I was home having children, I also returned to school, took 22 credit hours, 2 semesters in a row, finished my degree. Then I went back to work. And I stepped right back into a management role at L'Oreal and, never missed a beat. So having had all that experience, and, I was able to basically write my own ticket. I don't regret having an accounting degree at all because, like I said, I've never not worked. And it gave me the choice to be home with my kids.
Yeah, it gave you, like you said, a whole set of skills in your toolbox, but the economics piece of that is what kind of kept your passion and maybe that interest to keep going.
Yes. And my son, my oldest son, he did accounting and he didn't like it. So he switched over to economics and finance, and now he's doing wealth management. So there's a couple of different facets that you can explore in that area. So.
Yeah, and that's so great. And I heard we're breaking up a little bit. It's been fine for me, but I hear it's breaking up a bit. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
In 2022, we still have internet issues.
Right.
So you had this just a nice variety, like you said, of roles in healthcare, and then how did that transition go then in these CEO or CFO positions to then end up owning your own company? Tell us about that decision.
Well, let's see here. I was a VP of finance for a commercial construction company. And unfortunately, that company, it was an LLC, and he kind of took too big of a bite in growth, and he didn't survive. The company didn't survive that. I tried to buy him out, and he said, no woman can run his business. So the bank came in and shut him down, and the accountant is always the last one out. So I worked for the bank at the same time that I finished the projects working for the GCs, because the GCs, the general contractors, contacted me when they found out that that business had shut down, and they asked me if I would continue, because for them to replace a contractor on their projects, they would lose so much money. So I said, absolutely. And my foresight with my economics degree, I had already established an LLC prior to me offering to buy him out. So I already had the business established. So I stepped right in, I talked to the bank, and, we had a firm cutoff. The bank was fine with me doing that. I was able to use the same employees, and as of December 10, 2018, Level 5 Commercial Finishing LLC became a thing. So it was a very smooth transition. It was just a different hat and a different t-shirt, and we just kept going.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you, like you said, you had that kind of forethought to get your own LLC, and that just some of those pieces came together where you got to continue servicing those customers, and, or like you say, the contractors, and now you're the woman-owned business, which this person said that you could do. So tell us about what your day is like. What is it like being an owner?
Oh, wow. I don't sleep well. I work 365 days a year, and I'm not exaggerating. We did just go on vacation. Well, I shouldn't even say vacation. We stepped outside of the state and went to a different state over the week of Thanksgiving. And yes, I still worked, and my husband and my daughter who went with us, they enjoyed vacation. And I was up, it was a different time zone, so I was up at 2:45 in the morning and worked, and yeah, but it was warmer there, so I got that in the afternoon. And yeah, people don't believe me when I say that, but yes, I work when I'm on vacation, because I've got a crew out in the field. I am responsible for their safety. I'm responsible for billing. So I'm responsible for collecting on those bills. I'm responsible for, quality on the site. I'm responsible for getting labor out there. And if there's a problem with the general contractor, or if the general contractor kind of has a bee in their bonnet, they need to hear from the owner. So, and everybody has my phone number, and I mean it to be that way. So the project manager for EV construction knows that they can call me at any time, anywhere, 7 p.m. at night or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'll pick up the phone. Because if they're going to go through the effort of dialing my number or pushing the button to get me to answer, I'm going to answer. So, and that's why we have a good relationship.
That's a lot to be responsible for.
Mhm.
And so most of that, and I think I want young people to understand this, we don't necessarily learn everything in college, or a lot of what you've learned has been on the job. Because I think some young people are like, well, how did you know how to do that? How did you know how to be in charge of labor, or, deal with these contracts? So just tell us about learning on the job and what young people can expect about the real world.
I'll be honest. I think in life, people learn by making mistakes, or you learn because you're humble and you learn by observing. Nobody learns because they do things right the first time, and nobody makes mistakes. So it's a fact. You learn because you observe others making mistakes, and you're humble enough to keep your mouth shut and absorb that. Or you've made a mistake and you're going to take a step back and you're going to take the lesson. So I've worked at more places than most people, and I've taken a lesson from all of that. I'm a good listener. I've had to learn that because, again, I march to the beat of a different drum. So I didn't grow up being a know-it-all, and I'm not a know-it-all. But one would see me enter a room and they would think, oh, she's very confident. That's not it. I was taught you enter a room and you have good posture, and you stand up straight and you command a presence. That's how you do business, regardless of, it's like regardless of where you are. If you are a high school student walking into a classroom, command a presence. If you're a business owner walking into a meeting, you command a presence. So, but as far as my
That's a great
experience,
tip.
yeah. But as far as my experience, I mean, like, my first job was, I was a plant accountant at Universal Forest Products. And then like I said, I mean, I worked for $8.50. So that's nothing to write home about. And, and I think I was there a year and a half. And then I worked for 2 years at International Paper. And then I worked for the Center for Physical Rehabilitation for 2 years. And, and then I finished my, I was home for several years with my kids. Then I was a senior accountant at L'Oreal for a couple of years. Then I was a controller at Muskegon Country Club for, it wasn't even a year. And, then Ridgeview Industries. And it just, I mean, the list goes on. I think there's probably 15 jobs in there, to be honest with you.
So I know that young people, we might want to tell them, like, why did you move to those places? Was it something with the culture wasn't right? It just wasn't fitting you? And how did you find those jobs? Was it networking? Did you see them on an internet site? Tell us about even that transition, because young people need to know how some of that works too.
Well, honestly, the pay was probably number one. And then, once I had children, so the times were different. So to be honest, I'm 51 years old. So back in the 90s, times were different. And women without children that were married were looked upon as the value wasn't there because they were going to have children soon. So then they were going to leave the workforce. And then women with children were always going to have to stay home with their sick children. So the value wasn't there. So yes, so I guess you'd call it job hop. And I think the culture is different these days. The dichotomy has changed dramatically. I'm in networking with other managers, other business owners, and the dichotomy has changed dramatically. I can tell you that. So I wouldn't say that exists today, but I did definitely experience that. So.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And hopefully the young people will experience more equity in their workplaces today. Hopefully that has changed enough for young women.
Yeah. But yeah. I can say, having said that, there were so many important lessons, and a lot of it, I take a lesson from everything. And instead of focusing on the negative, it's just, it wasn't a negative. It was just I learned different things. Like I said, there was healthcare accounting, there was cost accounting, there was, the insurance, there was the auditing, there was the collections, there was project management, etc. So I learned something from everything, and all of that brought me to where I am today. I always knew I would own a business, so all it did was prepare me for where I am today.
I think that's such a great lesson for so many young people watching this, is that everything you do, every job you have, will be putting things in your toolbox to prepare you for the next thing. So there's never a wasted opportunity. All work is honorable, and never to be looking at certain things like, oh, I should be embarrassed about this job. No, everything you have
Mhm.
And it sounds like that really was, like you said, what prepared you for this role you're in now. I guess I'm wondering, young people love to know, like, what's your favorite part then about being a business owner? We heard some of the hard things with the commitment of time, but
Yeah.
what gives you joy? Like, why do you continue to be the owner of a
Oh
fitness shop?
gosh. I love my team. I love my team. I connect with every single one of my team almost every day. Um, my team is so smart, so loyal. They're great guys. They're great guys. And I love most of the general contractors that I deal with. So they're just good people and you feel good.
And you were sharing a little before we got started, some of the projects that your company works on are like serious landmarks in our city. So is there a joy in that when you can be part of a large construction project where you see your work lasting there for 50, 75, however many years? Tell us about that side of it.
Oh gosh. Well, so Mary Free Bed, the new kitchen that was added on to, we did that. Spectrum of the ICU, we just finished that. Condado Taco that everybody loves to go to, we did that. Tesla, Calvin College, Chick-fil-A's, there's a whole bunch of those that we did. So, I mean, those things are fun. H&M at Rivertown.
Tell us what you do because the young people may not know what your type of business is when we talk about finishing. Help them understand what you do.
So my company does the interior finishing. So that is, so from the steel stud framing to the drywall finishing to the fancy ceilings, any fancy finishing that you can touch or see, that's what my company does. So fancy ceilings, fancy walls.
Now, if young people were to get into a company like yours, is it through apprenticeship? Do they go to school to learn finishing trades? How does it even end up working for your company?
You start out as a laborer. And like my son, he started out when he was 16. So he worked summers for me. And then if we had Saturday work, he would jump in on Saturdays. So now he's a college student and he works, he can get on equipment now that he's, over the age of 18. So yeah.
So there was some on-the-job training with the laborers. You were teaching them what to do.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely. One of the things that schools are working with young people on are employability skills, things like teamwork, communication, problem solving. Can you help them understand how that plays out in your type of company? Why are those things important? Why should they learn them?
Oh gosh. I guess the way I've heard it the best said is you don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to have experience. You have to have the right attitude, however. And I heard this from I heard this from a very old, experienced, wise man at the top of his game in the construction industry. And he and I have coffee often. So he said, we'll hire anybody if they have the right attitude. So, and same, I'm the same. So if you come to work every day with the attitude that I want to learn and you listen more than you speak, you've got a place with me and you've got a place with pretty much any company. I don't need you to have experience. I need you to want to learn.
Yeah, it's great for young people to hear that directly from like you. That because we hear things about people just don't want to show up or they don't have the right attitude, and the world is your oyster if you can have that learning attitude and want to excel and be part of a team for sure.
Yes. Yes.
I know that you were saying that some of these different experiences is what really added to your toolbox. You mentioned you have 4 young people as children. What could young people be doing to prepare themselves to be a business owner at the high school level? Any thoughts on that?
Oh
When you look
gosh.
back at your own experiences, something you would have done differently, or things that you thought, man, that was the right thing to do?
I would say, view failure as data, not as destruction. have a lot of experiences, get a job, get a lot of jobs, and have a lot of relationships. Learn every day. And at the end of every day, think about what you learned. Wake up every day with the attitude that you're going to learn something. So don't get down when you've made a mistake. You've learned something.
Yeah, and I think that's the true advice too, is just to get started. So many young people aren't working these days, you know, they're just, it's like, how do you learn about yourself or learn about the professional world, or any job that give you skill sets, but so many aren't doing it.
Well, two more things. Put your phone down, eye contact. Okay, three things. Follow through with what you say.
Why is that important? Why do you want them to know that's important?
Because your word is gold. Your word is gold.
Which is probably one of the benefits you have as a business owner in these relationships with the contractors and your employees, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. You've given such good wisdom that whole little piece was how I tend to end these conversations with your word of wisdom. I'm just wondering, what makes, you mentioned early as a young person, you were kind of always the boss. What other kind of characteristics do you see amongst your peers that make good leaders? So kids can start self-assessing themselves to think, man, I could do that too. I'm like that.
Oh, listen, you know, I think the best leaders that I know, and I'm thinking about the elderly, well, he's not even elderly, I don't know, but the man that I look up to the most, he listens. I don't know if it's because he can't hear, but he listens. And so I'm trying to listen more, and control your emotions. And I joke with my guys, and Mondays are always just terrible in construction. We always say back and forth to each other, there's no crying in construction. And it's just, you know, it's just basically, you just don't let your emotions get out of control. There's no crying in construction. And basically it's just, you know, it's just nails and drywall, and nobody died. So control your emotions and listen.
Yeah, that's good. The civil engineers probably have a little more pressure that people can.
True.
I'm going to pull up my screen again, because one thing I realized that I didn't do is flash your name. I hadn't advanced the slides. So I do want to, whoops, here we go. Make sure that, what's the name of your company? I don't think I have that down, Nicole.
Oh, Level 5 Commercial Finishing.
That's right, Level 5. Level 5
Commercial Finishing.
Commercial Finishing, thank you.
Yes.
So I want to make sure we see your name. So if they want to follow up, if they have some, if the school counselors on the call want to send some people your way, or young people think, man, that could be a company I would like to work for, if they want to make sure they had your name.
Yep, please. Or if anybody has any questions, or you know, students have questions, please.
Well, it's been really enjoyable hearing your journey, and I really appreciate the wisdom and just insights that you've given our young people and the school counselors that are on the call today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.